You're on.
All right. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Harbor Shellfish Advisory Board, October 18th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please?
Hello, Mr. Chairman. This is Ginger.
I'll second.
Motion's made by Ginger, seconded by Dave Bossy. All in favor? This is to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, Mr. Bossy,
Affirmative.
Ms. Andrews,
Hi.
Mr. Brace,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Do we have anybody else?
Todd Anderson votes aye.
All right, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Payer?
He's not here.
All right, and Mr. Franzuto said he was having trouble logging in. Motion's approved
Oh, there he is.
to
He's there.
approve tonight's agenda. I'm sorry.
Here's Dave.
Okay, good. Welcome, Dave. Approval of draft minutes, October 4th. Has everybody had a chance to review any revisions? If not, we'll accept a motion to approve.
Hold on, Andy. Hold on.
All right,
Nope, they haven't had a chance to review because I haven't finished it. So
okay,
I'll have them for the next meeting.
all right. Thank you, Peter. Nothing under chairman's report, Marine Department report.
Sheila's not here.
Okay, natural resources. Tara, please.
Hello, good evening. So I have a shorter report than last time since I unloaded on you. We have a new staff member named Will D. Urba, I think. It's hard to pronounce his last name, but he is the new administrator for the Conservation Commission in our department. He comes to us from the DPW. He is a certified arborist and has a degree in environmental science and has been reviewing contracts and projects and stuff for the DPW. And I think that he's going to be a great fit for our department. So we're happy about that. Jumping into Shellfish. Last week I went out with Bruce Beebe and we went in Nantucket Harbor because when we did our shellfish surveys, we noticed there was a lot of seed all along the South Shore, starting at the creek at Fulling Mill and then going all the way towards Abrams. So I wanted to check it out with a dredge and just kind of get some additional opinions because the eelgrass is very short there. And I'm really worried that it's going to end up on shore, and strandings are, very labor intensive. So we try to catch them before they happen. So we went out there with a dredge. I think the seed was a little bit too small to catch on the dredge. So the volume didn't seem as great coming up in the dredge. We did have a smaller dredge that was lined with a smaller mesh that we tried. And again, it just didn't, it wasn't yielding what I thought it would yield. So we decided the percentage of seed to adults was much greater in that area as we expected. But we decided to wait until commercial season starts and have the guys out there with their, however many dredges they're pulling, 8 dredges, and see what their opinions were and get some feedback from them that way before we organize something, a big effort like we had in Mattocket last year. So we're just kind of going to do a little bit of wait and see and let the fishermen know about the seed in the area and see what they have to say during that first week of commercial scallop season. And on November 5th, which is a Saturday after commercial season starts, there is a fisherman councils meeting that's going to meet at the Admiralty Club out in Mattocket. I'm not sure of the time yet. I think last time we met there was 9 a.m. And so I'm hoping to get a lot of feedback from the fishermen from the first week of scalloping on what they think about the seed in that area and what should be done. We also pulled up some seed that was moved from Mattocket to Hussey Shoal, the same time that they moved all the seed in Mattocket to different areas of Mattakit and I think last time I talked to you about the growth wasn't that great in Mattakit, because the seed was moved, but it was kind of dumped in piles and it was just a little bit congested. The seed that they moved to Mattakit, or the seed that they moved to Hussey Shoal and Nantucket Harbor, grew an extra 10 millimeters more than the stuff in Mattakit. And that could just be like, of course, related to the area and the flow of the water and everything, but you know, it did produce a bigger scallop with bigger meat. So that was good to see. We've been having some volunteers go out to Mattakit to monitor the fishery at low tide, especially on the weekends, just to kind of get an idea of what is going on out there as far as like fishing pressure and how long it's taking people. And the last report that we had, there was probably about 25 people still going out in Mattakit, and they were mostly push raking. Some people are snorkeling, and it was taking them an hour to an hour and a half to get either a bushel or very close to a bushel. So, I mean, I think that's a good sign too. On the oyster front, we are still doing the shell recycling. Right now, there are 11 restaurants in town selling oysters. So we're recycling shells from 11 restaurants. Leah hasn't run the totals yet for the year to see what the total pounds are for shell recycled. She had spat collectors in Sacajah Pond, Shimo Bend, Shimo, Fourth Bend, and Quays. The most oyster spat that was collected was in Shimo, where she did her oyster reef. So it might be an indication of natural recruitment from oyster spawning in and around that area. She donated 2,000 oyster broodstock to Nantucket Conservation Foundation, to their reef and pulpus. We hold a certain amount of broodstock every year to spawn, and they got a little too big for our use for reproduction. So we decided to utilize our permit and talk to the DMF, and they said that we could donate it to their reef to kind of help it out a little bit. So those went to Pulpus Harbor. And we're still need to get in the water to evaluate the Conservation Foundation's Oyster Castle Reef. I think they did part of it, and then the weather just got kind of junky. So there's still the other half that needs to be finished. And what we're trying to monitor, we set oysters on those castles at the hatchery and put them out. And we're trying to see what percentage survived and how they're growing, and how successful that project was. In Sacajah Pond, we had pond mats down to kill the widgeon grass to see how that worked. This was an experiment between our water quality specialist and the Quidnet-Squam Homeowners Association. So we removed those and cleaned those up, which was a lot of fun. And so we have those saved for next year. There was a gentleman who's a pond scientist named Ken Wagner, who was here last week, and he went out in Sacajah with our boat and took a bunch of sediment samples at different locations around the pond. And they're sending those samples to a lab to analyze the nutrient content in the sediment to hopefully suggest management for the pond and to improve water quality. We are still monitoring for the harmful algae blooms in Sacajah and Tom Nevers ponds. There are other organizations on island that are covering the other ponds. We were just assigned those two, so we're going to keep doing that. And as a reminder, those are posted every Friday on our Instagram and Facebook page as to which ponds have harmful algae blooms and that you should not recreate in or around with yourself or pets. The pond openings have not occurred yet. It's been a little bit of a logistical issue, but Sacajah Pond is slated to open tomorrow, pending weather. I haven't heard any updates on whether or not that's a go. And Hummock for Thursday. And then once those happen, we will be monitoring the pond level dropping every day. And then also 1 week after, we'll be taking water quality samples and having those analyzed against the ones that we took a week before they were supposed to open, which was last week. And I think that's all I have for right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Tara. Is there a comparison, the water level of the two ponds that are opened, in comparison to previous years? Are they lower than normal? Are they about average right now?
I would have to look back at the data. Thais is on maternity leave and she usually does that, but I did install the pond staffs and recorded the level that they were probably about 3 weeks ago. And we got a recording for last week too, when they were supposed to open because we had a bunch of rain. But I don't think we've had any recordings since then because we've been anticipating the opening, but I can look back at the data from the previous year and see what they were before they were open. To just, if you're interested in that, I'm happy to do that.
Simply curiosity with the reports we hear of how much is pumped during the summer. Of course, the relation between the aquifer and the ponds may be questionable for some. I feel like I watch a pond that just about dries up in the summertime, and it seems to be related to not only use, but the drought as well. But we've had some good rainstorms. Board members, any questions for Tara? Natural resources.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I was just wondering how big the seed were that you were looking at and Matticat and Hussey Shoal.
So when the seed were moved, they were all 45 millimeter, and that was in March. And the seed in Matticat averaged about 10 millimeters larger than that. So a lot of them are around 55. I think the largest seed in Matticat, which was near the channel, ended up being 59, 60 millimeters. And in Nantucket Harbor, the seed that was put on Hussey Shoal was 20 millimeters more. So it was around 65 millimeters. So they were substantially larger.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Questions, comments, natural resources? Thank you, Tara. Dave?
Scott Anderson has one
Scott,
comment.
yes.
Question. I've been out scalloping, and my wife and I both are of the opinion that several of the shells seem to be brittle and fragile, more so than in previous years. Is that any concern?
Of course, it's a concern. It's something that I've noticed too. I would say over the past 5 years, I think the shells are a lot thinner. I think when I open scallops, there's a lot of what we would call a blister in the shell, where if you pierce it, it's kind of like a sulfuric mud kind of, and that's usually caused from a blister worm. That happens in oysters too. But I have been seeing a lot of that lately. And I think personally, it's a sign of the sediment changing in the harbor. I think we're going in a lot of areas from hard sand to more of like a silty bottom, just because of, degradation of water quality and stuff. And so I think like a lot of that sulfuric mud, I mean, when you just like put your hand in it, it's like black coming up. I think that that's more acidic, and I think it affects, shell growth for sure.
Thank you.
I was always under the impression it was warmer water temperatures that had an effect on the shell integrity. Yes, no?
I think there are a lot of factors that can affect the growth of the shell. If you're talking about Matticat, I mean, everything is so thick and dense out there that, I'm not surprised that they didn't grow that much. And when you're competing for food, I think it's hard for them to have enough resources and nutrients to put out a shell that they have in the past.
I've looked at some catches that people are posting pictures of, and I'm afraid to think that maybe there's some seed in there. How are you finding the identification? Do we have nubs? Are there simply a lot of seed that are almost a takeable size?
So I'm not worried about Mattakit at all because all of that seed last year was, 45 millimeters. So it's all classic scallops that I've seen in the shell pile out near the dump and stuff. So, I mean, I think it's very easy to recognize a classic scallop more so than a legal nub. So I'm not too worried about like what's going on in Mattakit for them taking seed, because I think that there's enough adults where you don't have to take something that's shiny and small. Nantucket Harbor is a bit harder, I think, because I think that population has shifted to a more fall spawn population where you do have the nubs. And, just when I was out there dredging with Bruce Beebe, stuff coming up, there were some people not comfortable culling it because they weren't sure if it was going to be legal or not. And, there were quite a few that I had to take out and measure too, because they were just on the edge. But I do think like it is harder in Nantucket. I don't think there are quite as many classics as there are in Mattakit. So it's a little more difficult.
Thank you, Tara. Anybody else? Board members? Any members of the public? Not seeing or hearing any. Thank you, Tara. We'll move ahead to old business. Mr. Anderson, anything new on green crabs, or any other board members have anything to add on green crabs this meeting?
Nothing new to report this today.
Okay, and that's fine. Thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Something to add, discussion, new information?
I've been looking into the green crabs some more. I'm not ready to talk about it now, but I think it could be an interesting project. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Health of the harbors, stormwater runoff, and harbor impacts. Do we have any new information or discussion to add tonight? Not seeing or hearing any. Excessive lawn fertilizer use. Same thing. Any updates, discussion, or new information? FDA shellfish taking prohibition in the mooring fields. Any new information on this?
They did return last week on a Tuesday to do the resample of the hatchery and the rest of the Nantucket Harbor samples that kind of got botched in their previous sampling. So I was happy that they came back to do that. I am trying to get notified when they come so that I can be on the boat with them too, mostly because I'm just curious about how they choose their locations and if they stick to the same locations every time they come.
Thanks for being there, Tara. Board members, anything to add? If not, we'll move into new business. The Shellfish Association met on October 11th and a report on the Scallopers Ball of being their largest fundraiser of the year. A gross amount of $138,210 was taken in. Expenses were $39,914, so there was a profit of $98,295 for the Scallopers Ball. It's a record. $35,000 came from sponsors, $25,000 came from the auction. Ticket sales were $49,400. Drinks $17,500 and merchandise $4,500. The NSA for an annual income $283,283.67. Expenses of $169,269.46 for a gross or a net of gross of $114,014. they approved, it started at $5,000 and jumped up to $15,000 to keep available for seed management, a proactive seed management, as what took place in Mattocket last year, for precarious locations of seed, specifically now off of Fulling Mill. So the NSA is excited about this, feeling that maybe the proactive work with seed management versus waiting for it to blow up on the beach. And thank you to Natural Resources for monitoring the seed in these precarious locations so that this type of management can take place. The 15,000 basically used for paying fishermen $500 per day to help move the seed. So a wonderful contribution from the NSA, to say the least. And as you all know, the NSA pretty much inspired the Clean Water Coalition. They approved $10,000 towards the Clean Water Coalition education campaign, and another $10,000 to be NSA specific education and materials. So they were feeling very generous at the last meeting. I brought up the bumper stickers. They have approved the bumper stickers. Peter, I'm not sure if you can show that or not.
No, I think, Andy, I think what I can do, since I'm not operating on my computer, I think I can just I could just maybe show it to the owl.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great.
Owl will pick it up. So
A little, I think.
Is it a bumper sticker or is it a dumper sticker?
Well, it's like a bumper sticker, but as you know, Mr. Franzuto, they're to be applied to the dumpsters.
I know, I'm just being,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Does everybody
Well,
see it?
can everybody see it if I
Nope.
talk?
I mean, I know it's kind of hard. I think we've seen it in the past. Brooke from the NSA, she designed it.
It's been so long, I've forgotten what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. I know. But I was just happy that it was entertained at the last meeting. It was agreed upon that it was already approved, and they'll be moving forward with ordering the stickers. So well done, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for Shellfish Association update for the moment. Anybody comments, questions? Harbor Action Plan Update Committee. And we're to make an appointment of one of our board members to be a part of this update committee. Mr. Brace.
Okay. So the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee appointed me to represent them on the Harbor Harbor Actions Plan Update Committee. So someone from this board has to step up and represent us, or we can nominate somebody. I thought of Dave Franzuto, if he's into it, but all of us are qualified on our own ways. So it's not for me to say. What I learned is that the committee is going to at least meet once a month, and the process will take a year. It may be twice a month, but I think it gets going or I was told that the committee has to be created by October 31st.
I saw Mr. Franzuto's hand before Mr. Anderson. Go ahead, Dave.
What? Peter, do you know who the contractor is?
I believe it's Urban Harbors.
It is.
It is.
Mhm.
Well, I said before, I'd like to do it again. This would be my third one, but if somebody else wants to be involved, I'll certainly let them do that, but I'd like to be involved.
Mr. Anderson,
I
did you have your hand up earlier?
raised my hand because if nobody else was going to attend the meetings, or if you need a backup, I'm more than happy to be there.
Well, there's three at-large positions. So people who might want to do it, but would, if there's other of us that want to do it, you can apply.
Why don't we take a nomination from a board member?
Well, I'll nominate Dave Franzuta then.
I'll second that.
All right. So we have a nomination for Mr. Franzuto to be Shab's representative at the Harbor Action Plan Update Committee. Mr. Anderson seconded it. All in favor? Or any discussion first? Mr. Franzuto, you're prepared to jump back in.
Third time's the charm.
Okay. All in favor, Mr. Brace,
Aye.
Mr. Bossy,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Miss Andrews.
Hi,
The chair votes aye as well. Congratulations, Mr. Franzuto, and lean on Mr. Anderson as an alternate, if you would.
I will, thank you.
All right, and Mr. Anderson, attend. And I'd like to see more discussion on dredging and the possibilities of it, being a positive thing. And for several reasons, as we've talked about in the past, hopefully that is kept fresh in mind, Mr. Franzuto. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I had a question for Tara through you, Mr. Chairman.
Please, Mr. Brace.
Tara, do you know if the committee meetings are going to be hybrid?
I think that they are gonna be hybrid. I think they're gonna have like one or two. I think the first one, Urban Harbors, will be present for the introduction. And then there might be one or two public meetings that they'll be present for, but I think for the most part, it sounded like it was gonna be a hybrid meeting. So you could
That would-
attend either remotely or in person.
That would work well for Dave, who travels a lot. Just didn't want him to miss any of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all is covered. Hopefully, some of the things in health of the harbors on our agenda are discussed at this update committee meeting session. I think, as you all know, there's a lot of items that are not addressed as well as they could be, and I know they are up and coming to be addressed, specifically stormwater runoff. And when I heard Tara talking earlier about dark silt, and every time we get a heavy rain and I see all this mulch running down the streets and into the storm drains and directly into the harbor, I'm thinking it's a direct cause of this silt that we are experiencing in some areas. So I'm hoping that the information that we discuss here is implemented and interjected into this plan, at least in discussion, to open some eyes, raise some eyebrows about some impacts that need to be addressed. So thank you, and we can certainly talk about this at future meetings. If there's nothing else, we'll move forward to Coastal Resilience Advisory Board update. If there is one.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, Mr. Franzuto, please.
yeah, I couldn't get to the mute button there fast enough. Yeah, so the harbor plan is a guiding and regulatory document. So it triggers an awful lot of deep review of permits that for things that are allowed within the harbor area. So I think it's a good opportunity to include a lot of things that you were talking about, but I just want people to understand that it's not only a guiding document, but it's also an administrative tool that can be used and has been used to enforce different things. So the first one in 1993 was pretty good. The last one in 2009 was real good. So I would expect this one to be even better.
That's great. Thank you, Dave. Coastal Resilience Advisory Board.
Okay, the biggest thing to come out of our last meeting was, Vince reminding us that we didn't get the coastal zone management grant for the feasibility study for the protective berm, and that an outgrowth of that is that Vincent will be going to the coastal zone management office to learn from them how we can get that money, how we can, because that feasibility study is crucial. That protective, raised area running along the waterfront is one of the crucial recommendations. So he's gonna meet with the CZM officials to I guess hear it from them. This is what you need to do to get this money.
Thank you, Peter. Board members, questions, comments? Not seeing or hearing any.
And Andy,
Any public in attendance at all? Any public questions or comment?
I wanted to say, sorry,
Yes,
one more thing, Mr. Chairman.
yes,
So,
please.
Dave and I are both on Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board, and we'll both be on the Harbor Action Committee, the update. It's important that this board, we're gonna talk through Dave at that committee meeting, at that committee. And it's important for everyone to remember that even though I'm on SHAB, I'm not representing SHAB. I'm representing CRAC. So CRAC will be talking through me. There'll be, when the meeting is coming up, I'm assuming there'll be an agenda item where they'll have things for me to represent. And of course, I'll be reporting back to CRAC. Likewise, Dave would be reporting back to SHAB.
Thank you, Peter. Good clarification. Board members, anything else? Anything for our next meeting that anybody would like to add now?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
So by November 1, I think we need to have our contribution for the town report for 2022. And so I'll be writing that before that meeting, and it should be on the agenda. And I'll make sure everybody gets it. And then hopefully we can approve it and get it to Erica.
okay, so it's due November 1st,
I believe, yeah.
and our next meeting is November 1st.
Yeah, so she'll understand.
Yeah, okay. This is Mr. Franzuto.
Yeah, Peter, if you hear anything about the meeting schedule or formulation or anything about the harbor plan that I'll be back Friday, but
Okay,
if you hear anything about the formation, just let me know so I can start to get in the loop.
sure.
And I'll probably reach out to Urban Harbors just because they'll be real happy to hear from me.
Okay.
All right.
Peter, I just want to check because I also have the same report due, but mine is for the fiscal year. So it would have been 2020, July 1, 2021 to July 1, 2022. So I'm not sure if yours is the same or not.
No, every year it's in the fall.
Okay.
I think it's calendar year for all of us, and every year
Okay.
it's in the fall, and it seems like she always pushes it later and later because people just take their time turning them in, so. So yeah, pretty sure, but if you want, I'll send you the email she sent me.
Nope, it's okay. I just want to check.
Okay,
Anything else? Next meeting's November 1st, then November 15th. I will entertain a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else to add to tonight's meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Mr. Anderson's motion.
Mr. Anderson, motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Mr. Andrews, second. All in favor, Mr. Bossy,
Hi.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Andrews,
Aye.
Mr. Brace,
all right,
Mr. Franzuto.
Fine.
The chair votes aye as well. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
good night,
Thank you,
thanks,
Andy.
Andy.
Thank you, Tara.
Night.
Good night.